Resuming Weird World Order broadcast. Dynaphones connected. Initiating broadcast signal in
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies, gentlemen, and knights of the Nerd World Order, this is the Nerd World Order broadcast. I'm the man that you call Dukes, and to my right, it's all about the... And
Hello,
to my
everybody.
other right, weighing in at 178 adamantium pounds, Alfonso X-Man Flores.
We are Homo Superior.
Well, I'm glad we're superior. Yeah. And to my other right, weighing in. No, you know what? It's all about the...
Booyah, what's up? It's your boy Joe, baby.
That's right, ladies, gentlemen, and knights. Despite the technical difficulties, we are going to be discussing the one and only Jean-Claude Van Damme. You know, Jean-Claude Van Damme actually just recently, for the first time, became part of the Mortal Kombat franchise, which is pretty darn cool. So, you know, we were talking about topics, and Alfonso mentioned one of the JCVD movies, and I said, dang, JCVD's coming up in the world. Maybe, just maybe, the three of us should pick our top JCVD movies and go ahead and talk about it. I'm sure with the Nerd World Order today. So today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite actors that is not Melissa McCarthy, Jean-Claude Van Damme. So Alfonso X-Man Flores, initially, what's your overall thought with Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Dude, Jean-Claude Van Damme from like day one was just like, it was all about him. I'm like, whoa, well, this is the next big action star. You know, I grew up at a time where, you know, he just like burst onto the scene and everybody wanted to see him, and super stoked about him. You know, I know he had some problems lately, kind of disappeared, became a little more minuscule, and then, you know, came back with the Expendables. I guess he had some drug problems, but he's back in action. Sly Stallone saved him and he's ready to go.
Wow. Alfonso out here just spilling the tea on JCVD. Dang. Okay, Alfonso, you know, spilling dirt. It's all good. I didn't realize that this was this type of show, but that's okay. That's okay. Joe, what was your initial relationship with Jean-Claude Van Damme?
I thought he was dope when the first time I saw him on No Retreat, No Surrender, because it was kind of cool because his kid got trained by Bruce Lee's ghost, and his dad's dojo was getting harassed by Van Damme, and he was dope. And then, you know, I saw, of course, in Bloodsport, and then after Bloodsport, it's a wrap, because it was basically just him and like Steven Seagal. Like those were the top two after it was like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Stallone. So it was those two going back and forth with the early 90s, I think it was.
Yeah, definitely early 90s. And the thing about it is, I remember being introduced as JCVD in, I want to say it was Kickboxer. The thing about it, I hadn't seen Bloodsport yet, but everyone was always talking about, oh, Bloodsport, but I hadn't seen it. And then I saw Kickboxer, and I was like, whoa, this guy is pretty cool. Little did I know, you can't actually kick people 3 times within 1 second. But hey, it was pretty cool. I seriously thought that was real. I thought JCVD was able to kick people 3 times in 1 second. But, you know, I learned later that that is not something that a martial artist can actually do. Like I said, ladies, gentlemen, and knights, we all picked 3 movies that we're going to talk about today as far as our favorites. Alfonso X-Man Flores, why don't you get us started with one of your favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movies?
One of my favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movies is, like, of course, is No Retreat, No Surrender. Joe just actually talked about it right now. This movie, it was, you know, his biggest introduction into movies, and not his first, because he was in Breaking. He was a dancer in the background in one of the scenes on the streets. But in No Retreat, No Surrender, he was actually got it started as the big bad. right? Actually, he was a heavy for the big bad. There was this karate instructor who had his dojo, and these guys were kind of trying to move in on that territory, and they were trying to not buy him out, but force him out. And they brought in Van Damme because he's like, "Oh, you're a big karate guy." So, and he's like, "No, I don't want to fight you. That's not what karate's for." And then, so this one, it was cool. They had this one guy who's the first enforcer, started fighting with the dad, and the dad kind of got the upper hand. Next thing you know, Van Damme just like the guy gets, kicked in the stomach, bends over. Van Damme jumps over him, kicks the dad in the face, beats the crap out of him. The kid walks in, and he tries to get started. Van Damme puts him in a wrist lock, and he's like, haha. So these people, they ended up moving to Seattle to try to start over, right? And, he gets involved with another karate school. And apparently, like, there's, all the same stuff going on. The same guys trying to move in on their territory. And the kid kind of steps back from his martial arts school because he wasn't as good as everybody else. And he gets trained by the ghost of Bruce Lee. So at the end, when Van Damme is finally fighting the main guy from that studio, and he's whooping him down, and he's like cheating, and he's like hurting the guy, kid jumps over the ropes. His name was Jason Stillwell, jumps over the ropes and just starts beating the crap out of Van Damme. And Van Damme, one of the best quotes from the movie, besides the "No retreat, no surrender," was when Ivan, his name was Ivan something or other. Oh, Krasinski. He goes, "You're good," and he goes, "I get better." Then he whoops him down. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. I mean, I could see Joe has a lot of good memories of that movie as well. Have you seen that one, Dukes?
I did see the movie. I saw it on, I believe, the form of media was VHS.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I actually worked in the video store that I believe I rented the movie from. And for me, it was like a new discovery because you guys probably saw it in the theater on HBO because that's where the rich kids saw movies. I didn't. I had to wait till I could earn my own money and then watch it on VHS. But I don't remember that movie. And I'm going to be saying this a lot through the movie, through us talking about this, because I'm like, Ghost of Bruce Lee?
Yeah.
I thought the movie was like, one group was the Americans and the other group was like, they weren't the Russians, but they were kind of the Russians.
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking Best of the Best.
Which does not have Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Nope.
Wow. I feel like it's the Mandela effect right now. Yeah. Like if you were to tell me that was wait, is Eric Roberts in?
Yes. And Chris Penn's in that. Eric Roberts and Chris Penn. And Tommy Lee
are in No Retreat, No Surrender.
And their coach, James Earl Jones.
So that's No Retreat, No Surrender.
Right.
See, seriously, man.
Coach is gonna tell.
That was Best of the Best.
Oh, that was Best of the Best. I'm sorry.
That's
what I was talking about. So, that was Best of the Best.
Well, Mandela Effect in full effect. That's not the movie I remember. So yeah, thank you guys very much for letting me know my memory is that bad. Even though I watched it on VHS long ago, I do not remember that movie the same way that you guys do. Like if you were to tell me that Bruce Lee's ghost was in that movie, I'd be like, ha, you're joking. Okay.
Yeah. I found while looking through this and like, because I was like, what do I remember about this movie? I love this movie. Well, I started doing some research on it and I'm like, oh man, all the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, they all spin together. I was like, no, that's from that movie. No, this is from that movie. So,
okay. Well, since my memory is bad, I'm going to talk about what I ranked as like my number 3. And I just love this movie. And because my memory is bad, I picked something that recently came out. So for me,
nice.
The Expendables. Because in The Expendables, I felt like Jean-Claude Van Damme was a really cheesy villain. But the way that he killed Chris Hemsworth's brother, that was just cool. Like the dude held the knife up and he kicked the knife and it went into his chest. I was like, that's cool. That's different. No one's ever done that before. But then later on, I thought when he fought Sylvester Stallone, I was like, man, Sylvester Stallone has a contract like The Rock where like he doesn't even look like he's gonna lose in a fight ever. Even when it looks like he should lose, he doesn't look like he's going to lose. So I thought he was just a cool villain, and I like that his name was Villain. It's like, I don't want to forget my line. I don't want to forget who I am. What can we name my character? Villain. But what about my accent? Villain. So for me, that's definitely coming in the tops for me is Expendables. Joe, what's your number 3?
With Von Damme movies, it doesn't matter. Like I think they all could be like number 3, but I'm gonna go with like the number 3 for me was Double Team. I do not remember what the movie was about. I just know it had Dennis Rodman. He had green hair. I thought it was pretty cool, and that's all I know about the movie. That's all I remember.
Okay. Alfonso, what's your next movie?
Okay, my next movie is Lionheart. All right, this one's good. We got French Foreign Legion soldier gone AWOL to go back home to raise his dead brother's son. But when he gets to America, he finds that he can't make money because he's a deserter and he's like basically a criminal. So he finds an underground fight club, and you find this guy who's like he's hyping him up. He becomes his hype man / manager, right? And he's like, "You stick with me, kid. And I'm going to show you all the different places we can fight. We get better fights and better fights." Because he's just whooping people down left and right, just making a joke out of him, right? And then his name is Lion. His actual name is Lion. So the manager guy decides that he's going to call him Lionheart because he's trying to be all WWE. He's like, "Give it up for Lionheart." And so they eventually, they just kind of work their way up the circuit. But of course, it's a corrupt circuit. You got one guy in charge and he's starting to fix fights. And Van Damme's like, he'll get some extra money if he fixes the final fight, but he's not gonna lose on purpose, right? So he ends up beating the bad guy. There was a really cool fight scene. I remember the one that stands out the most is they were in a swimming pool that had been drained, and there was a little bit of water at the very bottom, like there always is. And there was a part where he got kind of, he takes the guy and he's kind of starting to drown him. And yeah, he had like a Speedo slinglet on. Yeah, that was an interesting one. But that movie was a lot of fun. It's funny because he plays this French Foreign Legion deserter, but he's also in the movie Legionnaire. So I'm like, wait, was he the same character? So I actually had to go back online and research that different character. There are more than one Legionnaires.
I got many questions. First question is, was his promoter / trainer an old black guy?
He was an old black guy.
Okay. I feel like
it's coming back to you.
Yeah, it's also, during the 90s, it felt like every martial artist was being trained by an old black guy. So
I just remember him lying down going, Lionheart.
Okay, so another question, because I don't remember that movie this well, but this is also another 90s cliche, so I'm assuming it happened. Did the bad guy at some point kidnap either his sister-in-law or the kid to get him to throw the fight?
Yes.
Oh man, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, Jean-Claude Van Damme. It's like all these movies, and we loved them. We loved these movies.
Ate them up.
Yeah. Same story. So was his name Lion or was it actually Leon?
Well, it's spelled Lyon in the IMDb. It was Lion Galtier. So you know what? Because he's French, it was probably Leon Galtier. So yeah, Leon. You mean Lion? Lionheart. Boom.
Wow. Okay. Well, I remember watching that one in the theater, but I wouldn't have actually it wouldn't have clicked if you didn't bring it back to me, Alfonso.
I painted the picture.
You know what's crazy is
Yeah.
so entertaining when you watch them, but you don't remember them. Bits and pieces start to come back, dude. That's it's entertaining while you're watching it, but you tend to forget about what it's about.
Yeah.
Well, it's hilarious because you brought up, what was yours? Double Team?
Yeah, Double Team
with Rodman, but he also had Double Impact where he played Van Damme and Van Damme. So I was like, wait a minute. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because they were long lost friends, but then I can't remember. Did the parents get murdered?
Yeah.
And they got separated, right? And then He found him, and then I just remember that one boat scene where he thought he was imagining his brother was cheating on him with his girlfriend.
One had a
You know, it's
fist,
just
one
like-
had a gun.
And I think it was just to have a sex scene, like on the boat. That's what I could think of, dude. Because I felt like every Van Damme movie in the 90s had to have one sex scene with a guy.
I think it was in his contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, because I was watching Time Cop to see if I actually remember the movie, and there's just one random sex scene that's covered up by a candle, and then
Yeah.
there's this other sex scene where it's like this guy is virtually doing his thing at work. It's like, why is this even in here? But now that Joe's like, because it's in the contract. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So, like I said, guys, one of the movies that I added to my list was actually Time Cop, which anyway, so one of the movies that I watched today was Time Cop. There it is. One of the movies that I watched was Time Cop, or, I wanted to talk about was Time Cop because I could be wrong. I might be wrong, but I feel like Time Cop was JCVD's only attempt at science fiction. You could say Cyborg. You could say Universal Soldiers. I'd love to hear you guys debate about that.
Yeah.
But to me, I felt like the time travel and the scientific element and the messing up the timelines, I felt like that movie just appealed to me on like a sci-fi nerd level because the plot was so intricate as far as, going back in time and stuff like that. But then there's this one scene at the end, and I guess there will be spoilers because if you ain't seen it 30 years by now, you're probably not going to watch it. But at the end of the movie, Jean-Claude Van Damme defeats the villain by basically causing him to merge with his future self. And I'm like, that was never really discussed in the movie. And it was just like, it makes sense according to like, two like matters cannot occupy the same space at the same time, blah, blah. Yeah, that's like a science fiction trope. But bro, you got to drop that somewhere in the movie. So like, a little whatever-year-old me, Alan, wouldn't be like, what's that about? What's that about? Oh, that's that thing that I saw in Star Trek, because he didn't talk about it in Time Cop. It just popped out of nowhere. But overall, I don't know. As I watched the movie, I'm like, this is cool. But it would be like if future me went up to my wife and I was like, hey, it's me. She wouldn't be like, who the hell are you? She'd be like, damn, you got old, son. And I felt like his wife was so confused when he comes up and she's like, who are you? And he's like, it's me from the future 10 years later. And she's like, but who are you? It's me. I look exactly the same, but with more wrinkles and a better mullet. That's the only difference, my bro. So the movie was dope, but just some elements of it were like a little bit too silly.
So I don't remember this movie a lot. So if you can remind me, did they have a lot of futuristic weapons? Were there lasers or just more advanced bullet guns?
It was more advanced bullet guns that occasionally shot lasers, but like for some reason, the lasers would run out. Like there was a scene where someone was shooting at him. It was his ex-partner who went to the future to make $1 billion in the stock market back in like the 20s. And he like shot at him 3 times. And then without explanation, the gun just wouldn't work anymore. And I was like, why is that? Like this guy is apparently a time cop and he's been using this gun forever. He shot at old boy 3 times. The gun stopped working. And then he looked at it like, damn, I don't know how to use this. So it's an yes, they had space guns, but they were crappy space guns that for some reason would stop working after 3 shots.
I think back then, like when we were young watching those movies, they didn't care, and none of us would revisit and be like, why did they do that? That doesn't make sense. It was more strictly for like entertainment, so like things that happened in those movies, we weren't so hypocritical about it. Like that doesn't make sense. Why did they do that? We just watched it and walked, for the entertainment value, and walked away and said, oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, there was no internet for us to stand on a soapbox and be like, hey, you violated Rule 32 of Asimov's robotic, whatever. But yeah, I mean, there was nothing keeping check. It was just these were all one big, long running Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. It was like same movie, same guy, same movie, and it's just like what's he into this week? It was like a TV series where he gets into a different, hijinks one week to the other.
Yeah, you're so right about that, man. And I think that's why I liked him so much in Expendables, because he was in it and he had a prominent role, but he wasn't that same character. Like, it wasn't the same movie. I understand he wasn't the star of the movie, but at least he was a little bit different. So that was cool. But you're right. It's like he probably just had a team of people that were like, okay, let's remove this element, put this element in, change this, and boom, we're ready to go. So, Joe, what is your next movie?
Universal Soldiers.
Ooh.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one. I thought that was pretty good because it had Jean Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren. Like, because Dolph Lundgren did his, he's from Rocky IV. Like, he was doing his own movies and stuff, so it was kind of cool to see them both together. I remember there at one point I wanted to see Steven Seagal and like Von Damme eventually be in a movie together. It'd have been nice to have been Expendables because, he tends to get all those old actors and put them together in one movie. But it was pretty good. I do remember somewhat about that movie. They're both like in, I want to say, was it Vietnam or maybe it was a war? His commanding leader went crazy, started killing a bunch of people, and the rest of the soldiers were like pillaging. I said that right? Villages and raping women and killing people. And I remember Dolph Lundgren would kill people's ears and wear them as necklaces. They end up fighting them, dying, and the government, of course, picks them up and rehances their bodies. And they create like universal soldiers that the government can use to go take down terrorists and stuff like that. And eventually Von Damme gets his memory back and he starts to remember what had happened and what led him to that point. Very entertaining. That's from what I remember from the movie. That one I actually remember. Some of them I could remember like, oh yeah, that's right. When we started thinking about it. And then the other thing, it has Rodman in it. It's pretty good.
My recollection of Double Team, jumping back just a little bit, is Rodman was barely in it. I want to say he was in there for like the last 30 minutes. I'm going to watch it after this just to be sure. Probably fast forward, but yeah, I think it was
correct.
But Universal Soldiers, once again, I feel like I didn't watch that movie. I thought it was set in the future.
Yeah.
So now Joe's talking about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a different movie. Yeah. I loved Universal Soldiers when it came out, but I can't remember it now. And if you think about it, it doesn't follow that Jean-Claude Van Damme format where it's just like he's off, he's got to do this thing to save someone. It's different. It's definitely a good element, so I like it. Now, have you guys ever heard that the movie Cyborg with Kurt Russell is the prequel to that movie?
No.
Yeah, I've read that somewhere, which was like, but how? But yeah, and it's supposed to be set in the same universe, and that's like the prequel to that movie, which is really weird. The cool thing about this movie, other than other cool things about this movie, is there's so many sequels. Like, there's so many sequels on this movie. Even Bill Goldberg got in on the action. And then they had one where Dolph and Van Damme come back because they both needed that Social Security extra money from the Social Security checks.
It's called Return.
They returned and Return.
Wow. But that's cool though. That's another one of those things I'm doing research on. I'm like, I'm gonna check that out. I know I saw the Bill Goldberg one, but I'm gonna check out the Return because I didn't realize that had happened.
Because this one also with Michael J. Wright in it too.
Ooh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Universal Soldier with Michael J. White?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I wonder how many there are because I did not realize Michael J. White is like one of the few actors that are like legitimate martial artists. So I would imagine that his movie is probably a lot more solid than the other ones.
Yeah, he's that dude's legit, bro. Like, who was he? I think I saw an interview with was it Joe Rogan talking about him and Kimbo Slice? He was doing a movie with Kimbo Slice, and he was like, "Try to hit me," and then he hit him. He's like, and then he did something where he's like, "Try to hit me now," and the way he moved, like, because he goes, block this hit, and he'd go like this, and he'd move it, and then he goes, "Okay, now do it again," and he just goes like this, and he hits the hand, and they're like, "What the heck?" And he's just talking about how, like, I don't know, speed or something like that dictates of like how you can hit someone. I thought it was pretty cool. But the one thing Michael J. White says is one of the best spinning roundhouses he's ever seen was Joe Rogan.
Wow. I thought you were going to finish that by saying Jean-Claude Van Damme, but you said Joe Rogan. Wow.
No,
Okay.
Joe Rogan's spinning back kick is ridiculously good. I mean, he trained in Taekwondo when he was young, you know, went tournaments, won a lot of tournaments. His spinning back kick, they've measured it, and they have, I don't believe they found somebody who can kick harder.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. So, Alfonso, what is your next movie?
My next movie is Kickboxer. All right. We've got Kurt Sloan. He gets in, he has to learn how to Muay Thai kickbox because his brother was paralyzed in a fight with the antagonist of this movie, Tong Po, right? Tong Po fights his brother, paralyzes him, so Van Damme has to get revenge, right? So he goes to Thailand, he's like trying to learn, nobody wants to train him, and he finally finds this guy, not an old black guy though, surprisingly. He finds this guy to train him, right? And he puts him through all these rigorous, you know, it wasn't Mr. Miyagi, wax the car, paint the fence. No. Kick this banana tree. Kick the tree. Oh, my leg, it hurts. Kick it again. Dude, he was kicking that tree and like tearing his shins up, both legs. And finally, as you know, the montage grows and grows, he eventually kicks it over. Man, this guy tied Van Damme up by the hands, by the wrist and the ankles. And he just put him to levers and pulleys, and he pulled them and he stretched them apart like as far as you, man, actually that'd feel pretty good right about now. I could use that with my back. Just stretch. Like he was in the splits and he tied him up and he just left him there for like a day, I think. What else did he do? He would climb up on top of a tree and he dropped coconuts on his abs to try to strengthen him up. So that way the kicks didn't hurt. This old man was crazy, dude, but he taught him how to fight. And finally, you know, he went in and he went down and he tore him up, dude. Oh, don't forget, dude. This movie had that best Jean-Claude Van Damme dance scene that they made a GIF out of.
Yeah.
You know, the white boy clap and spin.
I have so many questions, Alfonso.
Hit it.
Now, I often get confused between one of the characters in Bloodsport and one of the characters in Kickboxer. Who's the crazy old black guy with the bazooka?
Dude,
which one is that?
I think you're thinking of American Ninja.
No, you got to help me out, Joe. There's an old black guy.
It's American Ninja. Dude. I think it's American
No, it's
Ninja.
not.
Yes,
no, it's not. There's an old black guy. Like, okay.
Can he fight?
They're in a bar. No, they're in a bar, and there's like a fight or something, and Jean-Claude Van Damme is losing, and then the old black guy comes out with a bazooka and blows the place up. Like, wasn't he the one who introduced the old Asian guy to Jean-Claude Van Damme?
That could have been Kickboxer, but you know, Van Damme, he was in the military and he had to escape, and he's got these two FBI agents chasing him the whole time so that he can get in this fight. And he finds the guy from Revenge of the Nerds, like Joe said. I don't want to get too much into it because we're going to talk about it later. But yeah, there was no old black guy with a bazooka. I'm fairly sure that was.
Then it was Kickboxer.
American
it was definitely Kickboxer. So once again, he's aided by an old black guy. I guarantee I'm going to look up the cast. And
I don't
IMDb.
think I'm looking at the cast right now. I don't see no big black dude, bro.
No, it's an old black dude. It's an old black guy.
I don't see an old black dude
with a bazooka.
With a bazooka, I don't see that.
I'm going to find it.
Are you thinking of this guy right here? Let me see. Are you thinking of this guy?
No, that's Richard Roundtree, my dude.
Is that Richard Roundtree? Yeah,
could be.
That's Steve James.
No, because remember Kickboxer? I think he goes. Wasn't it raining? He said he wanted to get trained. I think that's how he found the trainer.
Karate.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. before the end of the episode, I'm gonna have an answer.
Bazooka.
I just remember like me and Cream. I think me and Cream saw it in the movies. I want to say, and I just remember like his brother was like the champ, right? And he was just, it's okay, man. I'm the champ. I'm the champ, kid. And then like because Van Damme couldn't fight, so he was just like like that was like his big brother. And I just remember Van Damme walking by and seeing Tomboy. He was like hitting that wooden pole or that wooden pole. He's like, bam. And then he kind of looked at him and Tom Poe just kind of looked at him and he gave him that look and then kicked it again. And then he went to go tell his brother. He's like, hey, you need to call the fight. He's like, nah, man, I'm the champ. And he's like, bro, he's kicking a pole. That's okay. I'm the champ, kid. I'm the champ, kid. Just carry my bag. I just remember he went there and he got his ass kicked, dude.
The
So
look
funny.
on Duke's face, dude. He's like, huh?
Because he don't remember that scene, but he swears he saw a big
No,
black dude walking
No,
with a bazooka.
no, I
trying
do
to
remember
spray
that
like
scene because he was kicking the pillar and the
Yeah.
like the cement, like the was
Yeah,
coming out of the pillar. Yeah, I
Mhm.
remember that scene. Now I'm actually over here doing research. I'm like, nah, my kickboxer. I'm gonna find it before the episode ends, but I can't find it.
because
Like,
there is
you
no
type
big black
in
dude.
old black guy kickboxer and Michael J. White actually comes up. So
Yeah,
I'm
well,
gonna
because he's
give up
in
on it.
What was it? Well, he is in Universal Studios or Universal Soldier Return. Michael J. White's in
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, but I have to say that was, like I said, that was my first introduction to Jean-Claude Van Damme, and to me, that movie was just like, it was just incredible. I was like, wow, this guy is like the best martial artist in the world. Yeah, see, Alfonso found him. Okay, what
It's
movie is
kickboxer.
that? Yeah, see, I told you.
It is Kids Watch. I found the old man. Yeah,
My bad.
And there's a scene where someone's being held captive. That's right. What happened was Tung Po, once again, is holding Jean-Claude Van Damme's romantic interests captive in a bar or something. And the old black guy comes in with a bazooka and blows up the place and rescues her. And then at the end of the movie, Jean-Claude Van Damme sees her and he's like, oh, I can fight now.
yeah,
Mhm.
I do.
Yeah, see?
You know what threw it off? You said big buff black guy.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
My
got too excited.
boy's looking like Steve Howard. Shout out Steve.
No shout outs to Steve. Okay, so yeah, but like I said, and then remember when they had to fight with the glass on? It's like that movie just found ways to like elevate to levels of ridiculousness, but it was cool. It's like, oh, now they're gonna fight with glass, but it was just like one grazing blow that got hit with the glass. Did he get blinded in that movie too? At the end, he got blinded, or was it?
I think so. Man.
I just remember he'd always like kick and do a pose and then go ah. Every time we did a kick, ah. He'd do like a pose and his foot would be in the air. Ah.
At the time it was cool, but once you look back on it, it's like, man. But it was cool at the time.
Yeah.
I'm sure that we probably all like did that, like we do, like a punch or kick and then go, ah. I want to bring it back to, let's say, more modern times, because like I said, the memory is crap. So of course I have to go with Street Fighter. I think I saw this movie with Joe. I can't remember, or I saw it by myself. And I tried to convince myself it was a good movie. And Joe just like, dude, he fertilized it so bad. Like he just put fertilizer all over that movie. And I was like, no, it was granted, like none of the characters were right. And the story didn't make any sense. But it was cool. Joe was like, that movie sucks.
You got to remember, dude, like Street Fighter is the reason why I dropped out of college, man.
I
started
know.
playing Street Fighter. So, I mean, and then not to mention, remember we had to wait in line because back in the day, you couldn't watch a movie at 6 p.m. the night before it came out. We had to watch it at midnight on like a
Yeah.
Thursday. So Friday at midnight, we're watching the movie. And before that movie, we saw one of the greatest trailers, Mortal Kombat. And Mortal Kombat played, and all you hear is Mortal Kombat. And then the beat kicks in. You're like, wow, this is dope. You're getting hyped up for Street Fighter, and you're just like, And I just remember we were like, I was telling you, I was like, can we go back and watch the trailer instead of this whole movie? I mean, the only thing dope about that Street Fighter movie was the video game. Because I remember me and Cream used to play the video game all the time.
How are you going to inspire, Johnny Cage and then turn around and play Guile? He don't look nothing like Guile. He's not Guile, man. That was just.
I think it was more money. He got more money to do that instead of Mortal Kombat.
You gotta think about the art.
Yeah. Just imagine how different things would have been if he would have chosen Mortal Kombat. That franchise. Well, I understand the franchise is they're coming out with another sequel to the second reboot. Yeah. But if that first series could have kept going, if they could maybe brought him into the second movie, which was bad, then who knows? But Street Fighter, because I know what Joe's trying to do. He's trying to insult it and get me off track. There were things about that movie that I like. Like when you look back at it, it was an interesting plot. And it's like, oh, and it had Michelle Yeoh. That was cool, right? She was Chun-Li. Completely like, and it, okay, they try to pull off their special attacks. Like there was a scene where Michelle Yeoh jumped, flipped upside down, and then did like the tornado kick. That was cool. And so I thought they tried to do the signature moves, and they tried to bring in a little bit of science into it, like the way that Blanca became Blanca, or Dhalsim was able to stretch. I thought that was cool. And of course, you have your boy Raul Julia, R.I.P. He was like a pretty cool M. Bison. So, and I thought it was just cool because they tried to explain everything with science rather than just saying, just accept it. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, Raul Julia was a great actor, man. And, he had the presence as far as like the chops to act that part, but he didn't have the presence physically to be M. Bison. M. Bison in the game is a beast, man. So that was a tough one for me. I was like, it's tough because it's Raul Julia and I loved him, but it's like, oh, it's a little bit off.
I got to disagree, Alfonso, because he was wearing a suit that made him look bigger. And I accept that. I accepted that from Zachary Levi and Shazam. And I was trained to accept it by Raul Julia in Street Fighter. So, yeah, there's that. I disagree.
Bro, Michelle Yeoh was not in that movie. I was like, bro, he came out Super Cop with Jackie Chan. And I was like a big fan. It's Ming-Na Wen from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that was Chun-Li.
That's right. Dude,
Mulan. Because I was like, there's no way they have mediocre kung fu moves in a Street Fighter movie, especially if Michelle Yeoh's in there because she could fight.
I was trying to slip that in. I was like, no one's going to fact check me. Joe fact check me. I'm like, oh.
I was like, I would have remembered her in that movie, bro. I'd have walked out. Nah, that's the best part of the movie. Blanca looked whack in it too, man.
I think it was a more realistic looking Blanca, and you can't say that was bad.
I think that movie was hot garbage, bro. And he wanted more money instead of Mortal Kombat, and he wasn't the main character, so that's why he didn't do it. But he'd rather go do this one, be a main character, get the money, and still make a movie that sucked. And dude, bro. Just because he can do kicks don't mean he's Guile.
Yeah, it does. It does.
No, it doesn't. Guile doesn't look at him and say, "Pablo Blue Fonse."
Exactly. Guile was American with a big old blonde flat top. Man, that was his hair. It was a signature thing. How could you not have that?
Right?
Because
he didn't have the blonde hair.
You
Yeah,
don't need it.
exactly.
It's Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, yeah, you do need it. Actually, you do need it.
You
That's
know,
why the movie sucked.
I feel like I'm repeating what happened 20 years ago, except this time Alfonso's chiming in. Because I came down exactly like this. I was hyped. I was like, yeah, Street Fighter. And then Joe was like, that sucked.
Bro,
Let me
you
tell
know
you
it's bad
why.
if it's bad if Alfie's telling you, nah.
Wow. Well, it still stands in my top 3, and y'all cannot take that away from me. However, there is one more movie. Joe, what do you got?
I mean, to your point, before I get to this one, at least I remember what that movie was about instead of Double Team. And I thought Double Team was better, and I can't remember anything about Double Team.
I just want to watch Double Team again because I was
Yeah.
like, is Dennis Rodman in this movie? That's what I
Yeah.
just want to see.
Yeah, yes, but I think to your point, he's at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cyborg, same movies. I mean, they're still doing it today. World's jacked up. There's a girl that has the cure. Let's get her from point A to point B. You got a protagonist. Then you got the hero that's got to escort the package to the scientist. I mean, that's I mean, how long ago was that? Like 20, 30 years ago, bro? And they're still doing movies exactly like that?
Exactly like that, bro. Like nothing's changed.
Like The Walking Dead,
nothing.
Daryl Dixon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Last of Us,
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I thought the movie was pretty cool. Good kung fu movie or kung fu action sequences or maybe karate. I don't even think Jean-Claude had a lot. Because remember Steven Seagal said he was a ballerina? He's like, you guys are cheering for a ballerina. You want a guy that knows his stuff? It's Jeff Speakman. Well, where's Jeff Speakman at, buddy?
Hey, Jeff Speakman's my boy, dude.
I mean, he came out with one movie, Perfect Weapon. I thought actually that movie was pretty good. But
He had 2, and the one was so bad. But,
yeah, that's why I only said one.
We don't even talk about the other one.
But Jeff Speakman,
Yeah, I don't even know the other one.
Jeff Speakman does American Kempo. He does the same martial arts that I do.
Okay.
Every time I watch that movie, I'm like, oh, I can do that. I can do that.
Yeah, but you'd make better movies than Jeff Speakman.
Yeah, pretty much. Bro, you can Photoshop a movie better than James Speakman movie.
Oh yeah.
Dude, get this. I
100%.
was talking to my instructor the other day about that about him being in that movie and everything. And he goes, yeah. He goes, after that movie was released, he went to the internationals in Long Beach and he did that kata and he got second place.
That's sad, man.
I hope he never hears this because he will beat my booty.
Well, you never know.
Well,
I'll
you never know,
send him a
dude.
copy.
That man's got skills.
Yeah, mad skills. So, Joe, I got a question because, of course, I don't remember this movie. I think I rented it on VHS. I think was Jean-Claude Van Damme a cyborg?
Yeah, I can't even remember. I want to say maybe you think he was. That's why it's called Cyborg.
Wait, was the girl the cyborg? The one he was transporting? Who was the cyborg?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I was like, first of all, I was like, there ain't no Jean-Claude Van Damme movie named Cyborg. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, okay, there is. And I was like,
Yeah, I think that was his big movie after Bloodsport, I want to say. Because I remember he came out with like No Retreat, No Surrender. Then he came out with Bloodsport. And then he was also in a movie called American Eagle with what was his name? Sho Kosugi. And that's American Ninja. Yeah, he was a guy that did a lot of American Ninjas movies. Or not American Ninja, but Ninja. And then I think that was one of his biggest movies that he came out with, Cyborg, I want to say.
wow, I totally missed that. That's crazy. So before we get into what we consider to be, we all agree is the greatest Jean-Claude Van Damme movie of all time, Alfonso is going to be the TMZ of the NWO by spilling the tea on JCVD. Alfonso, the floor is yours.
This just in. Okay, let me take you back to a time before the internet. Before the internet, somebody somewhere would create a rumor and it would go around and somehow it became God's honest truth from East Coast to West Coast. I mean, Richard Gere knows what I'm talking about. But people would say things and somehow it just became the thing. So I was curious about this because the whole thing is, oh, well, Jean-Claude Van Damme isn't a real martial artist. He was a ballerina that became a martial artist because he could stretch really far and kick really far. And then I was like, I remember saying that myself. And I'm like, is that true? I had to look that up. So I went down this rabbit hole on YouTube before I even got here. So Jean-Claude Van Damme, originally when he was young, he was taking Shotokan karate and he was learning kickboxing as well. And he actually, he was in tournaments. He was in karate tournaments. He won 44 matches or 44 first place. He lost 4 times. That was it. He was, when he was doing kickboxing, he had 19 bouts. He won 18 of them by KO and he lost 1. So he's legit. Then he joined ballet to learn proper stretches, to learn how to, bring his legs higher. And of course, he enjoyed ballet. Who doesn't? I mean, I'm a man who admits I like the ballet. What? But after that, he came back to martial arts. All right. And he wanted to take that extra stretchy flexibleness into the movies. And that's when he came out to America and he met Chuck Norris because he was a bouncer at Woody's, a restaurant that he owned in LA. And, he brought him in. He came in, he became like this stunt guy. He wasn't really a stunt coordinator, but, they would use him for a lot of different things. Finally, he actually got a job on The Predator. The movie The Predator. I guess The Predator was after, all his other movies, but that was going to be his first big thing. After it was definitely after Bloodsport and No Retreat, No Surrender. But his big thing was he was going to be the Predator, and the suit that they had was nothing like what we have now. It was this weird thing where he kind of had to wear like some high heels to make it look like he had that horse hoof foot. And they wanted to do all this acrobatic stuff and he couldn't do that stuff without hurting himself. So he just bowed out. He got out of that. And then they changed the costume and Predator went on to be one of the best action movies ever. So, there's that rumor that Jean-Claude Van Damme was nothing more than a ballerina that turned martial artist, which still, mad respect if he did, but he was actually a martial artist who pursued ballet.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like Steven Seagal, because you mentioned Steven Seagal said he was a ballerina. He's like the 50 Cent of martial artists. Because that dude's always has beef with everybody. Like, we talked about the Expendables, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like everybody's been in that franchise. Like Wesley Snipes. I don't even think Wesley Snipes is like an action star. Mel Gibson, so, but no Steven Seagal. Psh, dude, he just always just much like 50 Cent. He'll find some old stuff and bring it up just to make you look bad. Put it out there. But I mean, hey, you know what? If Steven Seagal is, if Jean-Claude Van Damme, if he is a legit martial artist, that's cool. Now, as far as Predator goes, why was he not selected?
Well, he was selected, and the costume that they had for him. Don't you have a clip of that? What that looks like?
As a matter of fact, I might.
Yeah, it was too constrictive, and they needed him to be able to do a lot of acrobatic stunts, and he couldn't move in that, and he was afraid that he was going to hurt himself. And he was like, they had the feet that he stood in were almost like high heels, and they had him up on his toes. And he's just like, I can't do this, man. I can't do it. So he got out of that. And oh man, he tore Carl Weathers' hand off like in Happy Gilmore.
No,
look, he's missing an arm there.
It's the Predator logo.
No, but above the Predator logo, his arm is gone.
No, it's not, Alfonso.
His arm's gone, dude.
I saw it in another picture too.
Yeah, his arm's gone. Remember his arm got ripped off, and he was shooting with the other hand.
And then
okay, I see it now. I had to blow it up. Okay, see how it's right underneath the logo. Okay, wow. Maybe the Predator universe and the Happy Gilmore universe are intertwined.
It's all one.
That's the story I'm telling.
So,
is there any other JCVDT you need to cover, Alfonso?
JCVD, Jean-Claude Van Damme, original Predator. Well, he was a dancer in Breaking. I brought that up earlier. His first starring role was No Retreat, No Surrender. Yep, that's pretty much it. And then my theory is that the Legionnaire later on became Lionheart.
Oh, I totally believe that too. Totally believe that. So I'm going to move on. We're going to move on collectively. We were like, look, we can't do like top 3 because we all know what the greatest JCVD movie is of all time. So we're just like, number 1 is a given. And so that's why we have 3. And then we have this movie because like everybody knows what it is. It's just my boy Frank Dukes, who was also accused of being a fraud. And he gave us Bloodsport. Alfonso, why don't you tell us your thoughts on Bloodsport?
Bloodsport is like one of my top 10, easily top 10 action movies ever. This movie, you know, Frank Dukes, he was in the military. He was trained a long time ago in the art of, what was it, ninjutsu or something. But anyways, there's this tournament, this kumite that came around once in a lifetime. And he had an opportunity to fight in it. And he tried to get time off of the military. They wouldn't let him. He's like, okay, that's cool. And he like bounces. He goes AWOL. And the whole time he's going, Forrest Whitaker was one of the agents, either FBI or CIA agents that was chasing him down. I remember that now. And he's chasing him to the streets of Thailand or Bangkok or whatever. And he got away. And then he got involved with the kumite. He met up with, from Revenge of the Nerds, Ogre. And that's they got together, you know, training montages, whatever. Dude, this movie had everything. It had my boy Paco, the Mexican TIE fighter. Man, I remember for a long time I was walking around like, come on, bring it on. That was my move.
That was your move. So let me jump into an important part for me. So let's see here. Bloodsport, did anyone train him?
No, because he had already, did they have flashbacks to his training sequence?
I don't think so.
Because they had a few flashbacks. They did, because he was remembering as a kid being trained, because this is why he was going to go fight that fight. Was this the one where there was another kid and that kid died, so he had to go fight the kumite? Like the teacher had a son, and he brought him along to teach him martial arts because his son needed a dummy, and then the son wasn't as good as him, and eventually he like shunned the son, and he actually had was that this Jean-Claude Van Damme movie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So pretty much, Jean-Claude Van Damme as a kid was trying to steal some food, and then the son beat him up. And then the dad's all, hey, you know, like took him under his wing, and then they both like met his parents and stuff, and they trained him to be a student. And then they became like brothers, and then his brother died in the kumite. Yeah. And so he asked his sensei if he can represent them, their family in the kumite. And so that's why he was like AWOL and to go do this tournament.
Yeah, because that family had an outstanding invitation for the kumite.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Joe just broke it down.
I just remember that's like one of the only ones I remember. Don't be asking me about double team though. double team in basketball? Oh yeah, that's when two guys try to double team one guy dribbling the ball.
PG-13.
It's not that kind of show, Alfonso. However, Jean-Claude does have a sex scene in every movie, so I don't know. So does Forrest Whitaker count as an old black guy trying to help out Jean-Claude Van Damme?
No, because he's trying to take him down, man. He's trying to take him down.
But at the end of the movie, him and the old white guy, so it's kind of like it's an amalgam of the old black guy character. There was an old white guy, and there was the black guy, and they together at the end of the movie agreed to help Frank Dukes, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, man. One of my favorite things in this movie, though, is when, like, the people, because he's white, they're like, we don't believe you're part of this clan. And he goes, if you are, you show me the Den Mak, the death touch. And they had a stack of bricks, man. And Van Damme's like, all right. And he's like, yeah, boom. And he smacks them. And not one of the bricks break except for the very bottom one that just explodes. I'm like, ooh.
Dude, you're skipping a step, dude. Because you remember he was like which one you want? And you remember, I think I want to say it's like Bolo Young said the bottom one.
Right.
And then that's when
right.
he said it. And then he's like, all right. And then he just bam, he hits the bricks, and then it's only the bottom one that cracks.
Because he thought he was going to break them. He wanted to break them all to
Mhm.
to the bottom, and he's like, "No, just break the bottom."
Yeah.
Yeah, everything about that movie was just classic. Now, another question. Is that the movie where he jumps over a car?
Ooh.
See, I don't think there's a
think
reason
so.
for him to jump
No.
over the car.
I don't think so. I don't think
associate-
so on this one.
Nah, see, I didn't think so either.
It could have been, if he did, it would have been at the beginning when he was going AWOL, because there was a chase scene there, and I believe, and then there was a chase scene in like Bangkok where he's going over rickshaws and junks and whatever.
I think you're right. He jumps like a Ferrari.
Yeah, I think that had to have been at the beginning then.
Okay.
I was talking with Joe earlier. I was like, was that the one where he takes the motorcycle and he jumps over the fence and he lands and the stuntman busted his face open because he no, that was American Ninja.
Yeah, see, you guys got everything confused with American Ninja. I don't. One thing about Kickboxer is, and this is somewhat unrelated, but it's a JCVD movie. It's a Alan and Joe story. One time, Joe and I wanted to see The Quest real bad, which was a movie written by Jean-Claude Van Damme, it's a total Bloodsport ripoff.
Totally.
And it was so bad, it was in the theaters for like 1 week, and then like all the theaters stopped showing it. So I'm like, hey Joe, let's go see this movie. And Joe was like, I never heard of this movie. Yes.
Is that The Quest?
Where you been, bro?
Yeah. And we went to Fallbrook. We don't go to Fallbrook, man. Remember, I was like, bro, we don't go there, dude. He goes, it's different. I'm like, bro, they don't like us there.
No, I mean, it was different because I wanted to see a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
No. I mean, you were like, bro, it's just a movie. We'll be in and out. I don't know. You convinced me to go to that movie, man.
Yeah, man. We pretty much risked our lives in one of the most racist towns, I'll say, in California.
At the time,
at least in Southern
California.
It's
different. Yeah, I'm sure it's different now, but at the time.
Yeah, at the time, yeah, it's very different now. It's been like 20 years ago. I said that about everything. It could be like a movie that came out in 1970. I'll be like, oh, it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a horrible movie. It was a total ripoff of Bloodsport, and we ventured into dangerous territory just to watch it. So
yeah, I think it was just, we kept talking about, we're like, is this Bloodsport 2? I wonder why they never made a Bloodsport 2 and just called it The Quest.
It would have been like,
I think there was one in the works, and there was like, I saw an article that I didn't really watch it, but Van Damme was all crying about it that they didn't do it.
wow. Well, he made The Quest, and that ruined it for everybody. So The Quest is like, it's 110%. It's just old timey Bloodsport. It's so bad.
Terrible. Because then it also had the dude from James Bond. What was his name?
Timothy Dalton. Roger Moore.
No,
You had Roger Moore.
Roger Moore.
Yes.
Roger Moore. Yeah.
Yeah. And that gave
Even
me
James
hope.
Bond couldn't send that.
Yeah. Could not save that. But, getting back on that Bloodsport tip, I didn't see it in the theaters. Once again, it was a VHS rental. And it was just one of those movies where I was like, wow, this Dukes guy is pretty cool. And like that made me want to go out and learn martial arts. I was always interested because of Bruce Lee, but man, that made me want to go out and learn martial arts.
And the name alone.
Yeah.
Dukes number one. Dukes number one. Hi, you feel good, Dukes? You feel good? Dukes number one. I got money, Dukes.
Oh man, let's talk the bad guy, dude. What was his name? Was it Chun-Li or Chong-Li? I just remember when Street Fighter came out, I'm like, isn't that the guy from Bloodsport? Chong-Li.
Oh, this guy, Bolo. That's what we know him as.
Yep.
If whatever character he was, like he was a buff Asian dude, and he just looked like he could smash you.
Easily.
Yeah, whatever movies he was in, my mom used to love him. Rest in peace, moms. She used to like it when he'd flex his muscles up before What's that brother's name, dude? He always does it all the time. Big buff brother. I can't remember his name. Terry Crews. Before Terry Crews was doing
Oh,
it a
right.
lot.
The booby bands.
Bolo Young was the first one to do it, and then when he would blow his nose like twice, like on each nostril, he would blow each side out. She just always would start laughing.
It's not rockets.
Yeah.
You remember he's like, you broke my record. I break your
Now
friend.
he's all you break record. Now I break you. Wasn't that also the one he says? What did he say? He said, "Bricks don't hit back" or something like that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Bricks don't hit back.
And then he had to cheat, carry around salt in his friggin' belt just to throw in Frank Duke's eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just thinking about like his character, it was like he was so big. I'm like, this guy really has to cheat, you know? But I guess that's the whole point, right? Is Frank Dukes was just that good.
He was just breaking all his records.
Yeah, he's just such a classic. So yeah, definitely. Any other Alfonso? Check this out. Any other notable mentions?
Any other notable mentions? So let's see. Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds. I don't remember what his name was in this, but he was just like this big, beefy looking wrestler guy, and he was always doing the two-handed over the heads, he was just smashing guys left and right, throwing them out of the ring. Was there a sumo guy in that too?
Question for you, Alfonso, real quick.
Yes,
did he get his back hurt as well? Did he get his back broken?
Yeah. Bolo Young took him out, dude. That's when he goes, "You broke my record. I break your friend. Now I break you."
Okay. So that was basically exactly the same as Kickboxer.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. The sumo fighter, though. The sumo fighter fought what'd you say his name was? Paco?
Paco, yeah.
He fought him, right? No, was it the African guy that basically fought monkey style?
Oh, dude, that guy was so hitting me, like smack him on top of the head like he was breaking up coconut. He's like, bam! Oh, yeah, dude. That guy was so sweet.
Yeah.
That
movie's just classic. Now I would say anybody who has not watched Bloodsport, of all the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies you would want to watch, I would say that would be the one that would most impress people. Like, I'll say 30 years later, it still stands the test of time.
Yes, sir.
Well, we have run down quite a few movies, everything from Cyborg to Bloodsport to Time Cop to The Expendables to No Retreat, No Surrender. And that brings us to the end of this episode of the Nerd World Order broadcast. So until next time, ladies, gentlemen, and knights of the Nerd World Order, I am NWO.
We are NWO.
Nerds Redefined. Booyah.